Hi, I'm Amelia Wilcox, founder and CEO at Navati, and today we're going to be talking about how to build a culture of well-being. And in today's environment, culture is critical. It is key to attracting and retaining top talent. It is at the top of every HR person's list, and I'm going to help you guys figure out how to build an all-star culture centered around well-being. So, what is a culture of well-being and what does that look like? Well, in our experience, the companies who do it best send the messages from the top level. So these are going to be as high up the food chain as you can go with executives, whether that is the CEO themselves, or maybe that's VP level, or maybe that starts with you in HR and you're just setting the example and building that culture shift and really driving that. So it can come from a lot of different areas, but generally you want the people as high up as you can go in the organization talking about well-being, talking about mental health, getting that message out there and setting that example. And what do I mean when I say set an example? In my role as CEO, I will set my Slack status as going for a mental health break walk, or I have a footer in my email that says, these are the hours that are convenient for me to reply to your message. Feel free to reply at the time that suits you. So what do I mean by setting the example? That means that you're talking about it. That means that you're taking time off for your own vacations to have good work-life balance. And that's being communicated out to people. So they're seeing, hey, these people in leadership are taking time for themselves. Then that gives me as the employee the permission to take that time for myself. Whereas organizations that send the message that this is important and you matter to us and we care about you taking time off, but then they don't do it themselves, it sends a mixed message to those employees. And so you want to make sure that you're following through, you're setting the example, you're getting the C level and VP level and as high up as you can go to also be setting that example. And that is time off, that is breaks from work, that is allowing people not to respond to emails. We've seen companies that have autoresponders, and there's even tools you can use that will automatically delete emails that come in on the vacation and say, this person's on vacation, this email will be deleted, please reply after this date, just to keep employees from being tempted to work while they're on vacation. So those are real defenders of company culture. And those are what we see people that are leading the way really doing when they're talking about setting those boundaries and setting those examples. Another key to building a culture of well-being is making sure that you're addressing the various categories of well-being that exist. So for some people, that might be something like sleep, that might be something like nutrition, that might be something like mental health and burnout prevention, but we need to make sure that we're addressing all the different categories and areas of a person's life where they could be struggling, needing more support, or needing to improve, and that we're meeting each employee where they're at with the specific types of resources and support that they need. Now, culture is very affected by well-being. They are intrinsically linked together. And why is that? Because the better employees are doing with their well-being, the better work that they're putting out for your organization. There is a ton of statistics about how much less time off they need for sickness. They get sick less often. That also translates to less insurance claims through your health insurance policies around sickness. It makes them stronger. They have better immune systems. Their minds are clearer. They can be more focused. The morale is higher. They stick around. You have better employee retention. It just goes on and on and on. So pushing this culture shift into a real focus on well-being does have bottom line ROI results for the company. Now, what does that look like for organizations that aren't trying to build a culture around well-being? I bet you can guess the answer, but they are seeing higher levels of stress, higher levels of burnout, which results in higher levels of turnover and lower levels of productivity. In general, lower morale, less engagement with peers, and the list goes on and on in the other direction too. So, how do we build a culture around well-being? Well, I'm going to break this down for you in 7 easy steps. Step number 1, assess your current culture. I'm sure in HR, you guys are doing this all the time. But what that's going to look like is surveys and feedback from employees. That's going to be taking assessments. There's an organizational assessment that Navati has that you can use if you need to get started. And you're going to find those areas where you're doing really well, which will help you justify additional spend from the CFO, from the C-level suite. You're going to be able to also assess the areas where maybe things could be improved. Maybe there's a little bit of weakness here. Maybe there's actually a real risk that needs to be addressed that maybe hasn't been noticed prior. So there are assessments that are out there. Lots of them to choose from. Like I said, if you go to Navati's website, there's one available there as well for us. And it'll break it down by those different dimensions, make some recommendations, and also show you what you're doing really well. Step 2, define your well-being goals. So what is it that you really want to accomplish? That could be just lowering your turnover by 2 points. That could be seeing higher levels of employee engagement, seeing happier employees, building your NPS score up. Whatever that metric is that you're tracking, what you're really wanting to see a difference in, define that goal, and then we're going to build a plan around it. Step 3, implement policies that reinforce this wellness culture that you're working to support. That can look like changing from sick days and vacation days to a PTO policy. And what customers have seen when they have done this is that they actually end up having less time off, and they have more advance notice when people are taking time off because they're not inventing sick days that have to be like backfilled the day of because they need to look sick. So that's been really interesting to see that when you put policies in place that actually support giving the employees more autonomy and more ability to take time off, then you're going to see a lot of those results actually coming back to the company in a positive way. So that could look like PTO, that could look like flexible work. Here at Navati, we have employees that can work after their kids are in bed at night, and some of them that get up early in the morning, and some of them that work regular work hours. And being able to give the employees the ability, where possible, to create a flexible work environment that really helps them integrate their work and their home life and family needs, that really goes a long way in pushing that well-being culture. Step 4, encourage open dialogue. This is so key. I speak about this all the time. The biggest way to impact culture is to talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. And we have to repeat, repeat, repeat. So employees can't just hear, hey, mental health is important, we care at open enrollment, and that's it, right? Not just during Mental Health Awareness Month, and that's it. Employees need to hear the same messages over and over again, being constantly and consistently reinforced by their manager and by their leadership. And so what that means is we need to have conversations about well-being and mental health. We need to have events and training around it. One of the big things we do here at Navati is train managers on how to have these conversations with their employees around mental health. So a lot of managers just get promoted because they were good at their job and they get trained on a handful of things, but there isn't emotional intelligence training. There isn't training on like what to say and what not to say when an employee presents with some mental health challenges. What do you do in that situation? And so being able to have these conversations, have these trainings, workshops, and consistently communicating to the employees via email, via company meetings. Maybe that's taking 5 minutes in a meeting once a month to do a little 5-minute group meditation, reinforcing breaks, breathing, and things like that. So this is going to look different in everyone's organization, but ultimately it's that communication and that repetitive communication that's really going to make the difference. Step 5, you need to invest in solutions that support employee well-being. And this could be something like Navati, or some organizations put together multiple point solutions that address all of these different areas. So whatever works for your company, you want to make sure that you are providing support and resources for employees across all the dimensions of well-being, including mind, body, finance, career, purpose, and social relationships. So that's going to be anything from professional development training and tools to relationship classes to sleep support and nutritional support. everything that can help an employee. You want to make sure you're addressing them where they're at with the types of resources that they need. Step 6, lead by example. And this means that you individually in your role in HR are leading by example by taking the vacations, setting the autoresponders, communicating the policies, whatever the case may be in your organization, it is starting with you. And then you are recruiting as much of the C-suite as you can to come in and also lead by example. As I said, the higher up the food chain you go, the more of an effect you're going to see come down and ripple through the organization from a cultural shift perspective. Okay, step 7. Finally, you need to measure and evaluate the policies, tools, and resources that you have put in place for your employees. So that can be done through employee feedback surveys. That can be done from metrics tracking, from a retention standpoint, from a productivity standpoint, from overall NPS, whatever it is you track that matters to you in your organization, you need to measure that and you need to find out what's working, what's not working, where you need to make changes, and where you should invest more. So here at Navati, we help organizations with this every day. We are a true partner where we come in and we help organizations recognize areas where they want to make improvements. We build a customized strategic plan for their first year with us and every year thereafter to target and strategize around these goals that they want to see moving. And that can be done with custom training, group sessions, communication plans. We assist with building out the email campaigns, and we will reach out to the employees and help get them enrolled. So you want to make sure you have a partner that's going to help you with that. And in closing, I just want to reiterate the importance of a well-being focused culture at any organization and how that is the real driver of employee productivity and employee retention. And here at Navati, we are happy to help you through that process and be your guide and be your partner. Reach out if you guys have any questions and we'd be happy to help.